4:31 a.m. on the clock. It took me so much time to just set up. This is basically like another first episode because I've only done 2 episodes and have 1 unposted episode. My name is Elijah. You can call me Lay. I am a recent college graduate. I am a content creator. And honestly, I'm just figuring out life. If you haven't seen the previous 2 episodes, or if I haven't posted it on whatever platform you're listening on, since I haven't done this in a while, let me reintroduce the order. It is what I'm grateful for, a tarot/oracle card reading that I've done when I was planning out the episode, a good experience of the week plus a learning experience of the week. Then we're going to get into the topic, then end with the journal prompt of the day. So, what I'm grateful for is that I now have time to do the things that fill me with joy and passion. Since I just graduated, I haven't had the time from when I started the blog, since it was like my senior year, all things coming together, and it was just a very, very stressful time from when I wanted to start this podcast last year. And now I think the time has finally aligned. And of course, I'm scared and kind of terrified about postgraduates and life after college and wondering where life will take me. But I have to be grateful that I do have time right now. And this is like the most free time I'll have in my life. Because at the end of the day, like, the next things mean I'm going to have a job and having to work for someone else and kind of tailor my life around that situation, most likely, unless like takes me in another direction where I can work for myself. But until I see where life goes, I have to be grateful for the time I have now. So when I was writing and coming up with the idea for this podcast, I did the Starseed Oracle by Rebecca Campbell and Danielle Noel. And I asked to do a reading for the collective, the listeners, you guys. So the card that I pulled was the Blue Flame card, which also says spontaneous awakening, activation, and integration time, which I find so fascinating because I planned the topic before doing the reading. It actually took me days to actually do the reading. So what that means is the blue card flame, I did this with AI because I could not bother typing out everything from the little booklet. So it says represents a powerful and transformative energy. It's all about being guided by your intuition and inner wisdom, to trust the process of your own growth and transformation even when it may feel uncomfortable or challenging. And then it also said the card is associated with the throat chakra, which governs communication, self-expression, and authenticity. And being authentic. Okay, I'm just not good at pronunciation, so I'm so sorry about that. So then it goes on to say when this chakra is blocked or imbalanced, we may struggle to speak our truth or express ourselves fully. So maybe if you're feeling that this resonates. And then it also says the blue flame card encourages us to clear any blockages in the third chakra and to use our own voice to speak our truth and share our authentic selves with the world. It may be a sign that you are ready to step into a higher version of yourself. It may be time to shed old patterns and beliefs that are no longer serving you, and to embrace a new way of being. And it's also a powerful reminder of the transformative power that lies within us, and invites us to embrace the journey of growth and evolution. So I thought, wow, that card is so fitting for today's topic. As you know from the title, this podcast post is all about changing your life in 6 months. Before I get into the topic, I'm going to give a little background context. So basically, I have an obsession with TikTok, right? So this girl's video came up on my For You page. Even though I made my own plans for the next 6 months, how she talked about it was really fascinating. And honestly, if the girl wasn't in marketing, she should be, because basically she wants to do a 180 in 6 months. So, well, she kind of wrote it backwards, but I think this is what she meant to say. 1 goal, 8 rules, 0 excuses, which I love, love, love. I thought it was so clever. I'm gonna have all the necessary links in the show notes, and I am gonna go through her rules. I will start out by saying, like, the rules can be modified per person, and she does say that in her caption, but I want to talk about her original rules and what I think about them, whether they were like a green flag, yellow flag, or slightly red. So her first rule was, you're number 1, so look and act like it. Now, that rule was manifestation at its finest. Okay, I love that rule for rule number 1. It centers her, because I do feel like personal development can sometimes, even though it's supposed to be personal, sometimes it's like sideways, and it goes that sometimes we're not doing this for us. It kind of reminded me of when a girl made a character and started acting like her. I can't remember that TikTok for the life of me, but I remember that happened. So essentially, this is a self-concept, which in general, I think in personal development is the most important thing you can do right after shadow work. If you haven't done shadow work, that is the best place to start. So when she talks about this rule, she goes like, there's only one person to impress, and it's yourself. Your needs come first, your feelings come first. Check in on yourself and know your worth and set your boundaries. So this was absolutely a green flag for me. Social media easily influences us and can push us to experiment to find out more about ourselves that we haven't explored or been exposed to. But at our core, I feel like we know what we like, and sometimes it can be overshadowed from the influence of others. So I really think this is a sign of self-concept. And I do think it is general enough to know like what the look and act like it is like. And I think, like I said before, shadow work can definitely help you get there. And eventually on this podcast, I do want to talk more about self-concept and mindset work. So stay tuned for that. Her second rule was wake up early, do your morning routine, no dopamine/phone for 2 hours. What she said about this rule is it's the morning time is time to be present and set intentions, look at what you got to do for the day and plan it out, essentially. She went more in depth than what I'm saying. I actually somewhat like the rule, but what I think the rule should be is working within a person's personal schedule and time of day that allows them to be productive. Some people have night classes, night shifts, or simply focus better at different times of day. So a morning routine, while I personally love waking up 4:30 a.m. or earlier, and is pretty used to it. Like, literally, it's 4:43 on the clock. That doesn't mean morning is an efficient schedule for everyone. Also, for me personally, I think the no phone thing is kind of like, I know some people do it, but to me, I just find it overwhelming and too much. Like, I would personally alter it to say, like, no social media or no communication with others for 2 hours. And even so, 2 hours is probably too long for most people. But truthfully, if their sleep schedule is sufficient of getting up 2 hours before they gotta do what they gotta do, shouldn't be as bad. But I think if a person, she talks about no music or anything, but I think if a person uses their phone for music, a podcast, audiobook, guided meditation, it's more effective than no phone at all and could kind of put people in a better mindset for the day. And I know she also mentions playing your day out at that time, but I would rather put the day planning in my evening routine. And here's why. Because I like going to bed knowing what I'm doing the next day. Like, if it's working on my blog, if it's working on my podcast, if I know I need to work out at these times of day, or if I have certain chores to do these time of day, I like knowing the night before, or if I know I'm going out with friends, Knowing these things the night before, I can plan how long my outfit will take in the morning, how if I need to do my makeup, if I want to do my makeup, even though I am trying to get more into the mindset. This connects to number one, which is staying ready. And I can go into that. What I'm saying is, I think planning in the evening hours is so much better because then you wake up with a list, wake up knowing this is what I'm doing for the day. And I think that's better than just doing it in the morning, in my opinion. Okay, so rule number 3, she said heal 3 times a week for 30 minutes or more. So the example she gives is therapy, meditation, pray, read mental health books, journal, do shadow work, spend time alone with your emotions, look at your flaws and see why you have these flaws, and think how you can better yourself as a person. Remember, everything I'm saying is just a summary. So for this one, I do like it. I put it as a yellow flag for me. The reason why I say this is yellow is I feel like if you're just beginning and you're doing, okay, healing is absolutely necessary. But I feel like as humans, we can get so caught up in the healing aspect that we don't take enough actions, because then we're just reflecting and we're thinking and we get stuck. And I feel like as humans, it's not healthy to constantly feel like something is wrong with us. I think that screws up our mindset a lot more. Of course, as humans, we need to accept we're never going to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfection. And there is no end point to healing. There's always going to be something you can improve. There's always going to be some way that your life can be made better. If we are always in a state where we see ourselves as a problem meant to be fixed, I feel like it takes away from enjoying the process. It takes away from loving your life because you always feel like something is wrong with you. And I'm not saying a person should think, oh yeah, I'm great as I am. In my mind, that just says you're constantly broken. And even if you fix this one thing, that there's more to fix. You're forever broken. And I don't think I want that mindset with healing. The better way to put this is if she said like reflecting on your beliefs. Like, I don't think healing was the right word, but the idea is good. The next one was focus on 4 hobbies slash skills to do through the week that you enjoy. I actually love this one. Many people saw it as like it's unrealistic. Like, I was going through her comment section. Someone was like, 4 hobbies or skills. Ma'am, I don't even have that many. And then another person says the 4 hobbies is a bit unrealistic. So the examples she gave was like to do engaging hobbies like coloring, puzzles, dance, biking. But the reason why I actually love this one is because it could fit into other goals, you know? A hobby doesn't have to be something so out there and like so draining, because I feel like when people hear like do 4 hobbies slash skills, they think it has to be like something so out of range. But it could be like an intellectual hobby like reading, writing, and there's so many different forms of writing. There's like blogging, journaling, and journaling doesn't even have to be like writing either. Like, there are so many types of journals, but I just put that in that segment. And then there's like poetry, there's songwriting. You can learn a language, you can learn to play an instrument, you can learn how to code, right? And if you have a computer science degree, I mean, coding is essentially part of the development of your career anyways. So then it's like, you could do it for both, you know? And then a hobby can be something that can give you something physical out of it. If you learn how to sew and you can make outfits, learn knitting, crocheting, needle punching, pottery, building stuff. And also you can make money if you decide to sell the things you make, you know, which also adds on to a rule that's coming later on. You'll see what I mean. You can even gain skills that can like beautify yourself and also low-key save you money, like learning how to do hair, learning how to make wigs, do lash extensions, learning how to dye your own hair, learning to do nails. And it also could be something like physical, like as she mentioned, dance. You could do like a heels class, you could do hip hop, ballet, jazz, contemporary, but you can also play like sports and have that as a hobby, like tennis. I think tennis is such a like good sport. Maybe it's like my personality too, that tennis is not so many people. And you could do it like one-on-one, or you can do it in pairs, which I prefer a sport like that. I think that's perfect. And also, if you're more teamy, you can do something like bowling. You could do something like volleyball, golf, swimming, water polo, soccer, basketball, baseball, gymnastics, hockey, figure skating. I actually remember seeing a girl who started figure skating as an adult and really improved. So it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter if you didn't start as a kid. Do the things you want to do. Her next rule was go to the gym 5 times a week and at least 5 whole foods a day. Okay, this one I had mixed feelings about, and it's the only one I put as red. And let me explain why. Like, when she talked about this in the video, she talked more about like the nutrition aspect, which is cut out the processed foods, fast foods, essentially eating more clean. She says a lot more, but to me, she didn't really go that in depth with the gym part. But I also think there was more than one video, and I will try to find all the videos. So the reason why it was red for me was because of the first part. I'm so tired. This is going to be a hot take, but I'm very tired of when people talk about health. I feel like they always only promote the gym. And I think instead of saying like gym 5 times a week, it would be so much more accessible and reasonable to say 5 days of movement for X amount of time. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like that we as a society push the gym, but not everyone really likes the gym, or the gym would not fulfill like their actual goals. Doing home workouts is just as good. Doing workouts outside is just as good. Doing the sport, and like I said with the hobby that I mentioned, like there are physical hobbies and doing hobbies that require movement, like dance and like tennis and stuff like that, like volleyball, whatever. Those qualify as working out because you're getting intense movement for the day. And because of some people's just natural bodies, like sometimes intense movement don't even work for them properly, and they need stuff that are more slow, like yoga or Pilates and stuff like that. So I feel like the goal should never be go to the gym, because that's such a turn off for me. And then that's what irks me when people talk about fitness, is they talk about it in such a way like everyone can afford the gym. And obviously this is no hate to this girl, but I'm just saying my pet peeve in the wellness community in general. As for the food one, I feel like I would want to say like at least 5 whole foods a day is realistic, but due to the fact that we live in a society where in a lot of places healthier food is way more expensive, and also some people just can't afford the whole foods, and they rely on things like, for example, food banks, and then food banks have expired food. Things that are whole foods usually expires fast, and if you're like an out and about person, like your job requires you to be out, and then your lifestyle, you're just an out and about person, you're never home, I think that's where it gets like difficult. And I just feel like that was missing in the conversation. But because I don't know too much about that, I'm not going to go any further. But I'm just saying my piece on that and moving on. So the next one she says is set yourself up for 6 figures. She says she doesn't know your situation, and this is just setting yourself up. Her statement was about like savings, creating another stream of income, investing in retirement as well, which I feel like, yeah, this was one that was a good point. Definitely needs more details, because obviously, like she mentioned already, a person who has like a different situation will not start from the same place. So, rule number 7: spend 7 hours a week towards your career, passion, or business. So when she spoke about it, she was saying practicing, learning, doing, and letting go of perfection. Spoke about how her TikTok is her passion, but she wants to focus on her career. So I love this one. 7 hours a week is essentially 1 hour a day. Having time for development is really important. This can look differently for everyone, but a general idea is, if it's a career, it can look like connecting with more people, getting a certification to make yourself stand out, creating resumes and cover letters for the field you want to get into, stuff like that. And I would say like working towards your passion is really dependent on what your passion is, like just learning more about it and looking towards like what skills you need to develop in it, and like just little things you could do in little step-by-step things. So lastly, 8 hours of sleep, and get 8 hours of sleep. Before you do, document how every day went. I don't know if I wrote that right. I think it's supposed to be like how the day went and not how every day went. So what she says when talking about this rule, she says either 8 sentences or 8 minutes of journaling before bed. I think sleep is an overlooked area in physical wellness, so absolutely love this. Hey guys, so I was just editing the pod and the ending clips deleted, and I am confused and confuzzled. And the thing is, I can't re-record those clips right now. So I'm thinking about splitting up this podcast into a part 1 and part 2, because what I originally said was a lot, and it was about what specifically I was doing to change my life in 6 months, and talking about how I was introduced to the 12-week year and a lot of different stuff, and how I altered it and catered it to myself and different things I did. So it sucks, but I wanted everything together, but I guess it would have made it too long anyways. Since I am doing a part 1 and part 2, hopefully, I want to leave out the journal prompt for now, and because the journal prompt was more related to the second part anyways. And as for that, also my good thing of the week and learning experience this week was also more related to the second part, which is how I altered it. And it sucks, and I wish that it didn't get deleted, but it did, and I can't fix it right now. So I hope you enjoyed, I guess, part 1 of the podcast. And I guess for your homework for this podcast, quote unquote, the task to journal, I want you to make a vision board using whatever you like. It could be a physical, it could be a digital, it could be for your phone, whatever you want. Just make a vision board for how you want to end your 2023. Have a good day, evening, or night.